something I've been thinking about. A lot of people have been calling me racist, and I just can't understand that. We let people of all colors
Something I've been
into
thinking
our
about
shop. A lot of people have been calling me racist, and I just can't understand that. We let...
Well, I just want to check out what y'all got in here. You have any of those shirts right there?
Alright, well here, try this one.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
Live from Inverness, Florida, this is Andy with Florida Gun Supply, uniting Americans to get armed, get trained, and carry daily. Episode 23 of our live broadcast starts right now. I don't own a gun shop. I lead a movement.
Andy Hallinan.
Andrew Hallinan, the owner of that Florida Gun Supply store.
It's not just about guns for us. It's about life and liberty.
The solution to violent crime is for good guys like you and I to unite, to get armed, get trained, and carry daily.
This guy's educated. He's an educated guy. He's speaking the truth. Took so much weight off my shoulders.
We're the kind of patriots you've always wanted to be. Join us. All right, guys, welcome to episode 23 of our live broadcast. If you are glad to be here, hit the thumbs up button right now. We are good. It's great to see Bill. We've got Kevin Greenleaf, Lorenzo. We've got Deb Howard, Brian Amos, John Price, of course, Holly Pond. Good to see you guys, Floyd Bradley, and Jimmy Day. Love to see everybody here. If you're excited to be here, hit the thumbs up button right now because I am excited about the stuff that we have to talk about. This is our live broadcast that we do every Monday night at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, where we get an opportunity to interact, engage, communicate, and inspire Second Amendment patriots across the country. This is a way where we can come together and we can join up a community to inspire Americans to not just sit on Facebook and talk, but to take action. And we are big on family. That's why we invite you and usually the kids to watch this show together as a way to come together and talk about things that really matter in a family-friendly environment. In the background, we have Carissa, who has a beautiful newborn baby girl, so you may hear some baby noises here, but it is totally normal. We are absolutely excited. If you're excited for Carissa's new baby girl, hit the thumbs up button all across social media because we absolutely are. Rob Jones, good to see you. Mike Druin, pleasure to see you. And Brian Sharp, always a pleasure. David Martin as well. Good to see you guys. Listen, this week has been a very interesting week in the gun world. We've had a lot of activity surrounding things like the NRA, which we'll get to in a minute. We have had a lot of activity with the NFL and a lot of activity on social media in general. What we're seeing across this country, one of the reasons that this show is so important is because we're seeing all across social media an increase in aggression against conservative traditional values, values to life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. And it's important that we stand together and debate these issues and teach our families and lead our communities on these values. It's getting less and less cool to do the right thing in this country. Take a look.
US Vice President Mike Pence has walked out of a National Football League game after several players knelt during the national anthem. Pence had been attending a game with his wife Karen in his home state of Indiana between the Indianapolis Colts and the San Francisco 49ers. Refusing to stand for the anthem has become a form of protest against racial injustice. Critics have questioned whether Pence had only gone to the game to make a production of Leaving. Later, Pence used social media to explain his actions. He said, "I left today's Colt game because I will not dignify any event that disrespects our soldiers, our flag, or our national anthem."
I mean, that's good enough for me. I mean, you get the whole point. If you are excited that Vice President Pence left the NFL game for players disrespecting the American flag, if you believe that that's not a place that the Vice President of the United States should go to, hit the thumbs up all across social media right now because I believe that he did the right thing. Now, a lot of people out there are talking about two things. Number one, that they believe Vice President Pence going to an NFL game is a publicity stunt designed just to, send a clear message to the NFL. I am here to tell you that everything that I do in my life, whether it be going to Las Vegas or packing a trailer full of supplies for the Harvey hurricane victims, or even if it's jumping in an RV traveling across the country with great people preaching a message of unity for our unity tour, people call it public stunts or publicity stunts. And there are people out there that just want to go see a football game. Mike Pence is a normal guy that just wanted to see a football game. But of course, it is not appropriate for him to be there if we're going to see issues like people not standing for the American flag and saying, and standing for the national anthem. That's nowhere for the vice president of the United States of America to be. And a lot of people on social media are talking about the cost associated with him going to this game. The last number I saw was $243,000 to get the vice president to this game. He is a hardworking guy. He has spent his entire year serving this country. He deserves a break. And yes, it is expensive because of all the crazy lunatics out there that want to kill this guy and want to kill Donald Trump. We are seeing an increase in rhetoric and an increase in violent actions towards people with conservative values like Mike Pence, and we need to stand together and support him in these actions. This is called pushback. This is called pushback. The events that we're seeing in this country, pushing back against the NFL, is what is expected when you mess with the red, white, and blue that you and I love. Take a look at what's happening. There's a situation happening not just with Mike Pence. Oh, by the way, we are having our own NFL Shoot Then Burn Day. That's this Sunday. Go on Facebook and type in NFL Shoot Then Burn. We're not just burning NFL memorabilia. We are shooting it first and then burning it in true Florida Gun Supply fashion because it is important to push back. Now, a lot of people still watch the NFL, and that's fine. A lot of people don't agree with the standing. A lot of people do agree with the standing. That's fine. Nobody disagrees. It is the football players' rights. It is their God-given right to kneel for the American flag. It's anybody's right to kneel for the American flag, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we need to agree with it. And a lot of people get up in arms and they say, listen to this. People think that it's the First Amendment right for these guys to kneel on the field. They believe that's their First Amendment right. It has nothing to do with their First Amendment. The First Amendment only protects against governmental consequences for free speech. It only protects governmental consequences. In other words, you can say what you want about Mike Pence and you're not going to jail, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to get fired from your job, lose friends, family, or be kicked out of a business or an event. It does not protect you from social consequences of the First Amendment. The only thing that can stop free speech that we don't like is more free speech. And Florida Gun Supply has invested in a sign. This was not cheap. Take a look what it says. It says, "We stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance before every event. If you exercise your right to kneel, we will exercise our right to kick your ass out." And this has never been more evident than it was this weekend when we had a young man and a young lady take our concealed carry class. When it came time for us to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, they stood, but they did not recite the pledge with us. I interacted with the couple and said, look, before we begin class, I want to make sure that the reason that you're not standing, reciting the pledge with us is, for good reason. It's not part of this whole NFL stuff. That doesn't fly here. And he responded, no, it was because of religious reasons. And that's fine. Jehovah's Witnesses, Seventh-day Adventists, they don't like to say the Pledge of Allegiance, but they're not being disrespectful in that they just don't, it's part of their religious practice not to say that, which is fine. But if you stand, if you kneel, or you don't respect the American flag, there's a whole other thing. So we let him know that we would not allow him into our class if it was for any other reasons besides religious values, not because we're offended by this situation, not because we're offended. We don't really get offended easily. If you haven't noticed, we're Florida Gun Supply. There are people out there, entire Facebook communities devoted to hating on us and bashing us. And if you think that's funny, hit the thumbs up button. But because every word that we say after the Pledge of Allegiance, if somebody doesn't believe in saying the Pledge of Allegiance, typically every other word that we say is atrocious. That's what happens with conservative values. Every word that a conservative says becomes hate speech. Take a look what's happening to Marsha Blackburn. We'll talk about her in a second.
Or card-carrying Tennessee conservative. I'm politically incorrect and proud of it.
I'm going to restart
the
this
United States Senate. It's totally dysfunctional and it's enough to drive you nuts. And that's why I've decided to do something about it. I'm Marsha Blackburn. I'm a hardcore card-carrying Tennessee conservative. I'm politically incorrect and proud of it. So let me just say it like it is. The fact that our Republican majority in the U.S. Senate can't overturn Obamacare or will not overturn Obamacare, it's a disgrace.
She's right.
Too many Senate Republicans act like Democrats or worse, and that's what we have to change. Here in Tennessee, I fought my own party to stop a massive, job-killing state income tax, and we stopped it. We won. I know the left calls me a wingnut or a knuckle-dragging conservative, and you know what? I say, that's all right, bring it on. I'm 100% pro-life. I fought Planned Parenthood, and we stopped the sale of baby body parts.
I'm going to restart that part. You're going to hear that again?
Pro-life. I fought Planned Parenthood, and we stopped the sale of baby body parts. Thank God. I shoot skeet, have a concealed carry permit for the gun that I do pack in my purse.
I love this lady. I cannot tell you, Marsha is absolutely somebody that I respect and look up to. That's Marsha Blackburn, and she is running. She's a Republican, and she's running for Senate campaign. And she posted this ad on Twitter, and she paid some money, a lot of money, to have this ad run on Twitter. And Twitter had this to say. Blackburn, who is running for a seat being opened by the retirement of Tennessee Senator Bob Corker, boasts in the ad that she stopped the sale of baby body parts. A Twitter representative who took down the ad told the candidate's vendors on Monday that the statement was deemed an inflammatory statement that is likely to evoke a strong negative reaction. Twitter believes that because Marsha Blackburn stopped the sale of baby body parts, that her conservative values were going to invoke a strong negative reaction. If that makes you angry, hit the anger button all across social media right now. Marsha Blackburn, the conservative movement across the United States that does believe in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and it does believe that the Second Amendment is something worth fighting for, and that the conservative values to traditional family is something that we feel that we're going to fight alongside with you with. Blackburn took to Twitter to urge supporters to repost her video and join her in standing up to Silicon Valley. We are seeing this all across Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Google. Conservative values, conservatives like you and I, are being silenced. We are being shut down. They won't even take our money. They won't even take our hard-earned cash. Our cash is not good enough for them because they have a bigger agenda. And the bigger agenda is not to be a conservative in the United States, is not to endorse conservative values. It is not to endorse the traditional family. That is a scary, scary thing. And things that happen in this country are going absolutely nuts. Take a look at the memorial that was given to the Las Vegas shooters, one of the downed police officers in this event. Take a look. This is what this is a motorcade for one of the police officers that was killed in Las Vegas. And this is very touching. This is just the number of cars that were driving by, escorting the slain officer to his final resting place in Las Vegas. I mean, the video goes on for quite a few minutes. I'm going to fast forward just a little bit to a little bit more through this video. You just see police officer after police officer, fire truck, ambulance, motorcycles giving respects to the fallen police officer out in Las Vegas. Now, the reason that this is important, the reason that I bring this up right after Marsha Blackburn's story, is because there's an artificial campaign going on with the biased media and with all of the big social media agencies, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and Google, to silence people like us. Florida Gun Supply just had our own YouTube channel banned and terminated across social media on YouTube because they believe that we are part of hate speech. And it is getting more and more aggressive. It is becoming harder and harder to be a conservative in the United States. And that's why we are drawing clear lines, like our sign that says, for those of you just joining, we have a new sign that says, warning, we stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance before any event. If you exercise your right, we are indicating it is your right to kneel. We will exercise our right to kick your ass out, because we must draw clear lines that we don't want to sell guns and training to people who are not like-minded, because we don't know what's going to happen to people who are not like-minded. We have seen a lot of activity on social media and through the media. One of the cool things about YouTube and Facebook is you can hear directly from the experts and have a conversation. And I'm not going to play the video here because it did have some inappropriate language, but I spent a lot of time today watching the interview from the Las Vegas brothers interview. Basically Stephen Paddock's brother gave a 33-minute interview that was analyzed by a body posture, body position, body language interpreter, and she went through and she was able to identify the things that were happening. In the defense of his brother, Eric Paddock, left and right, was defending his brother for his actions, saying that he was a good guy and must have been convinced that this is the right thing to do, and kept pointing to the biased media. This is definitely a guy who hated Donald Trump, hated Mike Pence, and hated conservative values. That's who Stephen Paddock was. Now, in rebuilding our YouTube channel, we have had an opportunity to rebuild and re-upload. And one of the things I've done is re-edited quite a few of the videos that we did in the beginning of our YouTube channel. We didn't do a lot of things right. We had a lot of great content, but we didn't do a lot of things right. And I've been able to re-edit some of these videos. Take a look at one of our throwbacks between the difference between having a concealed carry permit and not. And if you find this stuff's funny, hit the laughter button while you watch. I find it hilarious.
Get off the bike, man. Get off the bike. Go. Yeah. Get off the bike.
Back up.
Whoa, whoa. Listen, we're good. I thought you were somebody else.
Here, take it. Just don't hurt me. Back off.
Okay. Your wallet. Give me your wallet.
Mine's bigger, asshole.
That was one of the videos that we've had the opportunity to re-edit and re-upload to YouTube. We find that one absolutely hilarious, but it's the difference between concealed carrying or not. Now, a lot of people got angry with Florida Gun Supply because we, had a push for concealed carrying after the Las Vegas shooting. But the bottom line is, the Las Vegas shooting, yes, no. The people that were in the concert would not have benefited from a concealed carry permit, but that doesn't mean that we should not be prepared for the next crazy guy that is fed up with Donald Trump, that is fed up with Mike Pence, that is fed up with the conservative values in this country and wants to go and attack people who believe in those values. We do need to get armed, get trained, and carry daily, because Stephen Paddock is not the last crazy guy that we will see in our lifetime. That's one of the reasons that we want you to come out to our bowling pin shoots that we have every other Saturday at 9 a.m. Take a look at our promo. The goal of of bowling pin shooting is to create a fun, competitive, and practical shooting experience that will sharpen your handgun skills under pressure. But everybody can expect an event that will improve your skills in the company of fellow shooters who are supportive. We want you to find out more at www.shootingteams.com. We had an excellent Saturday this week where we implemented some new courses of fire. It was a wonderful experience. John Price says, what if 500 people drew and fired down on the hotel? The better question is, what if 500 people were carrying concealed on the same floor as Stephen Paddock of Las Vegas? What if they were in the next room to Stephen Paddock of Las Vegas? What if they charged that room together and they stopped a threat? What if they had the training that was required? That is a better scenario if that was the case. But unfortunately, it was not the case. Brett McFarland, good to see you. John Kavanaugh, Debbie McFarland as well. And Jacob Novotny, always a pleasure to see you guys. So one of the things that we do in our concealed carry classes, we want the entire family to get trained. The entire family should be trained, including kids. If your kid is mentally able and physically ready, you know better than an age limit. We encourage you to go out and start training with them. I am going to give a free sticker to the first person that tells me what is wrong with this next video. Free sticker for the first person that can tell me the first thing they see wrong. Doesn't matter what he's saying. Ignore that. All right, that's all we need to see. That I'm going to replay that again. I want to show you guys that one more time. I want the first person to see. All right, I wanted the first person that said it. Jacob Novotny is the first person that said it. You get another Florida Gun Supply sticker. We're going to be sending that up to Ohio. Yes, he did not have hearing protection on him whatsoever. Stephen Van Horn, you get this little sticker right here. Michelle Nieves, right here. Brian Sharp, right here. All right, there we go. There you go with those stickers. I'm going to set these aside so we know exactly who we need to give those to. You can also write their name on the back of those stickers if you want. So yes, he had no hearing protection. If we're going to be bringing our kids out into the shooting range, we need to bring them out and have hearing protection. The 7-year-old kid could have serious damage. I know it's only a .22. I know it's a rifle, but it's still, you need to have hearing protection when you go to shoot. What else do you guys see wrong with this? I'm going to play it again. I'm playing it again. Now, I see Robert Rudnick saying fingers on the trigger. You cannot see that from this angle. All right. What else do you guys see in this video? What else do you guys see in that video right there? The firearm is not downrange. Nope, the firearm is definitely downrange. Yep, he's all right on that one. The dog, I wouldn't see the dog as the issue as long as the dog is going to stay there. Tim Alexander says, gangsta shooting sideways. That is not an issue either. John Sweet again says the dog, he has no control of the gun. It should be shouldered. I don't see that as too big of an issue, the kid being 7 years old either. Jimmy Day, thank you. Jimmy Day, here you go. Jimmy Day, you get another sticker. Courtesy of Florida Gun Supply. Boom! That's for you. He's shooting at rocks. It is a rocky backstop. Take a look. It is a rocky backstop. What are we doing training a 7-year-old to shoot with no ear protection and shooting at rocks? This is a .22 caliber, 22 long rifle. It's a Ruger 10/22 that's been souped up quite a bit, and he's shooting at rocks. The ricochet potential is extreme. What a dangerous, dangerous situation. Bob Long says scratching the barrel. We don't care about that. Mickey says the dog is in the way. The only thing the dog is in the way is of, a ricochet. Andrew Schultz says he smacked the magazine, which moves the gun. I don't see that as a big problem either, and no dog is on the leash. And Scott Sharp says the gun is on the rock. No, I don't see that as that big of a deal either. But definitely the fact that the kid's not wearing eye protection, he doesn't have a good backstop. It's a very rocky backstop. This is not a good training environment. And the third thing is that's where you can see his finger wrapped around the trigger guard on the left-hand side. We'll watch what he does. It ends pretty unceremoniously. But we want to see the end anyway. I think he's finished. There he goes. Yep, shot. There you go. So, guys, when you're bringing your kids out, I really want you to remember to bring them out with eye and ear protection. I don't care if you're shooting a suppressor or anything like that. Make sure they're wearing eye protection. If you're shooting a suppressor, make sure that they are wearing ear protection. They're kids, right? You know, their kids' eardrums are fragile. We need to make sure that we're doing things right and getting them in the good habits that it takes to be a better, more responsible shooter when they get older. Now, that's one of the reasons that we cater to the entire family, and we cater to women, and we have a great time catering to women as well. Take a look.
Hey, welcome to Florida Gun Supply.
Hi, I'm looking to buy my first gun.
Why don't you give your husband a call, get him down here, and then we'll talk about some guns. Hey, welcome to Florida Gun Supply.
Hi, I'm here to buy my first gun.
I think I got the perfect gun for you. You got this real nice little gun. Just drop this out. You got plenty of storage for your lipstick or eyeliner, whatever you want. Got a good spot for your mascara. And I think the slide might be shiny enough. You can just use that as a mirror when you're doing your makeup.
Hi. I'm here to schedule an appointment with the shooting range.
Oh, I thought you were here to make me a sandwich.
More women take advantage of our free concealed carry class than men, and they usually outshoot their male companions in class. Both of those statements are absolutely true. If you thought that was funny, hit the thumbs up button right now. We do support women getting their concealed carry permit, and they often have a much better experience in class because they are more teachable, usually, than men. I'm not knocking us men, but they are here to learn, whereas a lot of men say, I just need to get the concealed carry permit. I can't believe I have to take this class. Those are the people that we have to untrain a lot of bad habits. Now, one of the things that we do is we've got our training simulator because we want to protect against situations like you're about to see. Take a look at our simulator promo right here. You're leaving work on just a normal day, and as you walk to your car, a thug with a knife appears trying to kidnap you. What would you do? Florida Gun Supply's $22,000 use of force firearm training simulator can help you get the skills you need to defend yourself in a real-life scenario. Our simulator sessions are normally $70 per person, but if you sign up with a friend right now, we'll give you both a 50% discount on your simulator session. So share this video and then sign up with a friend at www.trainwithafriend.com. Trainwithafriend.com. That's a way that we can come together and we can inspire two people to be training at the same time. Now, this should have led me into another video. I'm going to have to pull it up manually here, but it is a really wonderful reason why we need to make sure that we are trained and prepared for any situation. We want to make sure that we are prepared for whatever we walk in on. Take a look.
Drop the gun now! Drop the gun! Drop the gun! Drop the gun!
Guys, I want you to guess. I want you to take a guess and tell me what you just saw. And while you do that, I'm going to move this video around a little bit so you can see it a little bit better here. I'm going to play it one more time here. Media file. Here we go. What did you just see?
Drop the gun now! Drop the gun! Drop the gun! Drop the gun!
We're doing a movie.
Excuse me?
Step back!
We're doing a movie.
We're doing a movie.
Step back! Step back!
Step back now. Get down on the ground.
Stepping back!
Get down on the ground.
This guy is filming a movie, fails to inform the local police, and they come across him while he's backing out of a business, wearing a mask, holding a gun. Hit the thumbs up button if you think this is ridiculous. The Crawford, Indiana, Crawfordsville police published a body cam last week of police action using shooting at an actor on a movie set. The footage shows an actor wearing a mask backing out of a bar in the 100 block of North Green Street. He was portraying a Robert, according to the Indiana State Police releases of the video last week on the September 26th shooting, and the police order him to drop the gun. I mean, he could have died. The officer fired around at him, and the officer would have been justified at shooting this guy because they didn't bother to let law enforcement know that they'd be filming. One time at Florida Gun Supply, we had the SWAT team show up because we were doing an interview, and the guy that was wearing all of the audio equipment had a really long beard, really long beard, and had all of the audio equipment in wires in this chest, in his chest area, so he could reach down and turn knobs and flick switches, and it was all just wires coming out. Next thing we know, we have the SWAT team here back in the day. That was a throwback for more interesting times. Take a look at my favorite ever video that the media has ever done on me.
Captured national headlines, and now a group of people in Inverness have had enough.
This is the protest against
me. They took
to
the streets promoting peace and equality in the wake of a gun store owner's ban on Muslim customers. Michael Shingleton there today. Michael, I understand they had a surprise guest as well. Who?
They sure did, Mark. The owner of Florida Gun Supply, Andy Hallinan, demonstrated alongside with all of the other people peacefully protesting the negative national media attention Inverness has received over the past 2 weeks, most of which was over Hallinan's stance on radical Islam and his Muslim-free zone at the gun store.
Equality. Peace, love, equality.
Their positive message is simple.
What do we want? World peace. When do we want it? Now.
This group in Inverness took to the streets.
Peace, love, equality for all.
In the old Citrus County Courthouse because they're tired of the negative media attention.
It's weighing us down. It's creating us afraid to come outside.
We came across as very hateful and divided, and that is not what Inverness stands for.
The media circus has centered around Florida Gun Supply and owner Andy Hallinan.
So effective immediately, I'm declaring Florida Gun Supply as a Muslim-free zone.
Many say this is not what Inverness represents.
He came out in front of the Confederate flag, you know, banning all Muslims, and really just giving us a bad name here.
Demonstrators are now trying to change that.
All lives matter.
Hallinan surprised many when he showed up ready to protest.
The bottom line is I don't think that I'm probably very well liked here at this peace protest.
Maybe overnight he decided that he does love everybody. If he does, we are so happy to have him here.
Hallinan joined the group rallying for peace, love, and equality. He says he agrees with their message to an extent.
At the end of the day, the message that they have and what I have are very similar. The bottom line is we all want world peace. The only difference is I know that there are people out there that want to kill us in the middle of the night. And in order for us to gain world peace, we have to prepare for war. So this is a video that was published a long time ago. It's old news. We no longer have that silly sign on the outside of our door, but it did the job that it needed to do back then. If you support the First Amendment in the United States, hit the thumbs up button right now because it did the job. There was nobody talking about in this country about radical extremists going out and taking lives. Everybody was afraid to have the conversation. So we put a sign on the outside of our door. It was not a policy. We put a sign on the outside of our door to spark conversation. Fast forward 2.5 years later, there's not even the slightest bit of propaganda like that anywhere in our store whatsoever. We basically want people to know that the reason that we, came out with that sign in the first place was to let people know that all life is equally valuable. And there are people in this world that don't believe that, and we can ask hard questions about that. Now, that sign has since come down because we replaced it simply because there was a spot on the window to talk about veterans and how we support our veterans. And so, Donald Trump has taken up that conversation for us. We no longer need to be involved in that conversation in any way, shape, or form. If you are excited about being part of this Second Amendment community across the country that believes in free speech, that believes in traditional conservative values, hit the thumbs up button right now. I want you to take a look one more time at our, at basically the Las Vegas Memorial here and ask any questions. This is the portion of our show where we get to ask questions, interact, and engage. Here we go.
Excuse me?
Step back. Step back. Step back.
We're doing a movie.
Step back.
John Price, Jacob Novotny rather, says, Andy, do you see the video of the animation CNN did on bump stocks? Also, could you publicly give your opinion? Should bump stocks be regulated? Should civilians have them? Good question. I wasn't really going to touch on this subject, Jacob. I know that you and others want me to talk about it, but CNN made a laughing stock of bump stocks. I couldn't show it on here. CNN has some very serious copyright issues, and I really want to protect my YouTube channel. So I didn't want to upload it here, but CNN made a really ridiculous video showing a regular stock bouncing back and forth. That's not what a bump fire stock is. A bump fire stock is a device that is operated with one hand pushing the gun away, the other hand pulling the gun back into you. And what happens is, as you keep pressure with your arms are acting as a spring. The recoil of the gun brings the gun back. Your finger puts pressure on the trigger, and every time the gun shoots, it rocks it back and forth on your trigger, allowing you to fire more rounds in rapid succession. Now, I can fire more rounds in rapid succession than a bump fire can, and bump fire is not really that effective at firing in succession. It pauses, it doesn't work right, and it jams the gun oftentimes. A bump fire stock is not a tactical advantage in any way, shape, or form. In fact, it's more of a novelty than it is an actual accessory that gun owners need to use. But it is a very cool device to go to the range and play with. Now, when we're talking about what has happened in Las Vegas, the anti-gunners out there want blood. They want the NRA to pay. They want conservative Christians and conservative people, rather, like you and I, not just Christians, conservative people like you and I, to pay for what happened in Las Vegas. One of the things that we can do is do what Donald Trump does. Make a deal. In my opinion, if we let the bump fire stocks get banned, which is impossible to do. They wouldn't really get banned. They would be treated as NFA items. National Firearms Act of 1986 basically prohibits the recreation of machine guns. Nothing can be created after 1986 for the civilian world. And it uses different things, different background checks and different processes to actually get the item, like a suppressor or a machine gun. You have a $200 tax stamp, they call it, and about an 8-month background check. If you don't have the firearm items owned by a trust, when you die, the items have to be surrendered to the ATF and destroyed, but you can also leave them to a trust that can be passed down to other generations. If we make bump fire stocks part of the NFA, hear me out, I support doing that, but I don't support doing that unless the deal is that we receive national reciprocity in exchange. And I'm interested. I want to see how many people agree with that. Hit the thumbs up button if you agree with what I'm saying. Let the bump fire stock become an NFA item, just like a suppressor or a machine gun. Make it have a $200 tax stamp. Make it available to those types of people in exchange for getting national reciprocity. We're not losing too much. It's a novelty item. It's not something that's going to help you in a tactical situation. I'm seeing some tears. I'm seeing a few thumbs up. I'm not seeing a whole lot of thumbs up, but I believe that we can check our pride at the door and have the ability to make a deal that will pass. And national reciprocity, the ability to carry concealed in all 50 states with one concealed carry permit, I believe far outweighs the benefits of having bump fire. Now, a lot of people say, well, then we're giving ground to the anti-gunners. Well, yes, we are. But in this day of age, we need to compromise. We need to be able to work together in this country because we're going towards civil war, and that is not what is good for this country. What is good for this country is for the North to have their values, the South to have our values, and nobody gets shot in between. And so I do believe that we should put the bump fire stock behind the NFA items, and in exchange for national reciprocity, I think in the long run, we really win. Brian Ammon says the ban would also affect drop-in triggers. No, nobody knows about drop-in triggers. Nobody knew about a bump fire stock except for you and I before all this went down. So a lot of people think, oh, it's going to open doors to other things. No, let's leave it at bump fire stocks. Let's leave it there. Because if we leave it there, we can really make a difference in the national reciprocity conversation. People don't know what bump fire stocks are until CNN started talking about it and started making a mockery of it. People did not know what a bump fire stock was outside of the gun world until the Las Vegas shooter used it. And he was the first one and the only one in the history of bump fire to use it in that way because it's not an effective tool to fire multiple rounds. It's not. It's a novelty item. It's a toy. And so we can absolutely, in my opinion, do that. Now, I just had a good comment come through. I saw something that said the Second Amendment. That was a really great comment. Can you scroll up a little bit? I can never say this name. Krzysztof Piankowski. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Guys, we're not talking about banning AR-15s. We're talking about banning, putting behind an NFA a novelty item, a toy, something that makes shooting at the range more fun. But if you're in a tactical situation, let's say that the Second Amendment is designed to stop the government from overreaching, from being genocidal and causing tyranny across the country. That's what the Second Amendment at a whole is for. It's not for the personal protection of you and I. That's just a way that we apply it. But its original intent was to limit the government's power by having the same power in the people's hands that the government has. Now, it has been, subject to the NFA and things like that. But if you think about it, in a grid down scenario, which means cops go home, gangs come out, looters come out, and the good guys form good militias, as you would call it, having a bump fire stock does not give you a tactical advantage over the enemy. Well-placed cover fire, single shots give a much better advantage to the enemy when situations occur where you can no longer find ammunition. Bump fire stocks are toys, novelty items. They are not very good at doing what they do. John Price says, ban urban carry. Kevin Greenleaf says, like the shoulder thing that goes up. I'm not entirely sure what you mean. Jacob says, but Nancy Pelosi says she wants it to be a slippery slope. You can't take away my rights without a fair trial, right? If we decide to take the bump fire stock and put it behind the NFA regulated items, if we gain national reciprocity from that, we are not losing rights. We are gaining. Right now, the Florida concealed carry permit gives you the most states. You may carry in 35 of the other states in this country. Pretty much states worth going to, right? So New Jersey, Massachusetts, Connecticut. These are not places worth traveling to, and you can't carry there anyway. But imagine you can carry in all 50 states. You are gaining much more rights than you are losing by having a novelty item go behind the National Firearms Act. Brandon Null says, I don't think Nerf or BB guns are legal. I don't know what he means by that. Michael Mulroy says, my guns won't be illegal. They will be undocumented. Important to remember that there is no gun registration in the state of Florida or most of the other states. New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, those places do have registrations, but I don't know of any registrations on accessories right now. Gabriel Novotny just joined us late. Good to see you. And John Sweet says, I do believe, I just lost a comment. I do believe all should be starting as they went by, not just the officers. I'm not sure what he meant there. And Michael Niev says, do I email you my address for the sticker? Yes, definitely send us an email with your address for the sticker. And Bob Phipps says, bump stock is a waste of ammo, but fun to shoot. Exactly. It is a waste of ammo. You cannot control the ammunition and where it goes. And the reason that it was used by the Las Vegas shooter is because, unfortunately, all of these people were crammed in shoulder to shoulder. The bump fire worked for his demise and his evil plan because he didn't have to aim. All he had to do was have the rounds land. And the rounds from an AR-15 were stopped from a cell phone, which means in people's shirts pockets, which means the rounds were not traveling fast. By the time they hit their targets from 500 meters away, they were going very, very slowly. And somebody said the ban would affect drop-in triggers. Again, we don't necessarily need to bring that conversation to the table because not a lot of people know about these drop-in triggers. Nobody knew about bump fire stocks in the beginning. Not a lot of people know about these drop-in triggers either. Guys, I appreciate you guys joining. Bomb Long says YouTube is blocking comments. I have not seen any evidence to say that. Peter Hua says, can you say hi to me? And Robert Long again says, won't let me put an American flag emo. Brian Sharp
wants us to give a sticker to the first person who can name the second rule of gun safety.
Brian Sharp has his name on the back of the sticker, and he won this tonight for answering a question correctly. But what he wants to do is Brian wants to give a give this sticker to the first person that can answer this question. Now, the question disclaimer is this. There are a lot of different types of rules of safe gun handling, but when we are referring to these rules tonight, and when Florida Gun Supply refers to them, we refer to the rules of safe gun handling as the 3 rules of safe gun handling. And Brian Sharp wants to give this sticker to whoever can name the second rule of the 3 rules of safe gun handling as portrayed by the NRA. While you guys are talking about that, we're going to go ahead and watch our bowling pin promo again. The goal of bowling pin shooting is to create a fun, competitive, and practical shooting experience that will sharpen your handgun skills under pressure. But everybody can expect an event that will improve your skills in the company of fellow shooters who are supportive. We want you to find out more at www.shootingteams.com. Jason Carl, welcome. Joining late, Russell Scott, howdy. Brian Sharp says the Florida Gun Supply rules, and I have some things coming in. We have Chris Taylor says, never point the gun unless you're ready to shoot. That is not the first rule. John Sweet says, keep unloaded until ready to use. That is not the second rule. Connie Moffitt says, keep your hand off trigger at all times until ready to shoot. I think that Connie Moffitt, even though that you got that a little bit sideways, I believe that you are getting Brian Sharp sticker. Now, the rules of safe gun handling in the NRA, the ones that we recite are: number 1, always keep your gun pointed in a safe direction. Number 2, always keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. And rule number 3, always keep the gun unloaded until ready to use. There are some NRA rules that also have a 4th rule, that is, know your target and what is beyond, but we implement the 3 rules of safe gun handling. Now, when it's referring to always keep the gun unloaded until ready to use, what that means is when that gun is on your hip or your glove box or in your purse, if it is somewhere around you in case of emergency, you are currently using it for your safety and the safety of those around you. So if it's on your hip, if it's there for an emergency, you are currently using it, and it must be loaded. Guys, I really appreciate you joining up. I had a great conversation tonight. Jacob, thank you so much for bringing up the question about the scenario with the bump stock. It is definitely a very important thing for us to talk about as patriotic community. Where can we give? Where can we allow people to have the upper hand? And where can we compromise to have a better, safer America? At the end of the day, it is our goal in this country to make sure that we have a better, safer America. And at the end of the day, what is going to make this country safer? Is it going to be that we have a bump fire stock, or is it going to be that we have national reciprocity? What will keep this country safer is the question of the night. And in my opinion, it is a much safer country if we are able to have national reciprocity, because then we are able to have people all across this country carrying wherever they go, to any state, to any location. We are able to then carry, and that is what I support 110%. I appreciate you guys joining. Thank you so much for being part of this Second Amendment community of Americans who are willing to get armed, get trained, and carry daily. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next week at 7 p.m. Wild. I could not get the right click to work on anything. We are muted, by the way. We are out and muted. Yeah, I couldn't right click to start that video. I was like talking about all sort of cool stuff, and I couldn't even get it going. I'm pretty sure that tonight went pretty well. You know, we had Bob Fib. I couldn't figure out how to say his name. Bob Fib. I couldn't talk tonight at all. No, I couldn't talk at all. I need more caffeine. My problem, I haven't had a coffee. Bob Fibs. Oh, look at that name. Samantha Sforza. Is she here all the time?
Sforza. We talked about her last week. Sforza.
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 Hey, so
it sounds like a cool car.
While we're muted, I got to tell you, that it was pretty cool that your baby was quiet the whole time. I'm gonna tell you that was pretty cool.
Someone said they heard her.
Someone heard the baby?
Yeah.
I didn't even hear the baby.
Oh, she's pretty awesome. She's
That's
still
pretty
sleeping.
Good.
Oh, Imogen wants you to talk to hot girls. Why is this happening all the time on YouTube? How do I make this
block them?
Okay.
Yeah, it's spam.
I love
Kevin
spam.
Lloyd. Look at that name, Kevin Lloyd.
No, it's Lloyd.
It's Lloyd.
Aaron.
Lloyd. Have you not seen the new Legos movie?
No, I don't watch Legos.
Oh, it's hilarious. It's great. It's a great. Movie.
You watch Lego Batman, don't you?
I did in the movie theaters. I bring Chris to all these movies. Oh, look at this name, Jason Veldkamp.
Jason. It
What?
says Jason, not Jessen.
Oh. Brandon Null. I would love to have a concealed carry on me at all times, just messing two things. The license.
Those are like the two most important things, having your license and a gun.
Yeah, I agree. Brandon Sanders. Little baby Trump in his profile picture. James Buckley. That's a pretty American. Kevin Corcoran. That's an American name.
Corcoran. Corcoran. I'm telling you, Sforza sounds like a really
Let's
awesome
give
car.
Stephanie Sforza a free sticker.
I think we gave her a sticker last time.
Did we give her a
too, 'cause
sticker?
She had a cool name. Let's give her another one.
Let's give her another one. Yeah.
Sforza.
Yeah,
like,
put this on the back
I
of her
just
sticker.
picture
Oh, you know, dang it.
A green Sforza driving down the street.
Green Sforza.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad we're muted.
Green Sforza.
I'm glad we're muted. Can you imagine if people could hear us?